Welcome to the introduction to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. My name is Ken McKinnon, and I'll be serving as your host for today's program. We're promoting our third annual induction luncheon, which will be held at the Wayfarer Inn in Bedford, New Hampshire on Saturday, March 20th. Following the luncheon, there'll be a hockey game at the Verizon Center between our Manchester Monarchs and the Providence Bruins. The Monarchs will be wearing the Concord jerseys, the Concord Budman jerseys, which can be seen behind me here, and they'll be auctioned off after the game. We have four guests today who we'll be meeting. Our first guest is Dick Boucher, who's chairman of our New Hampshire Legends Hockey. Dickie, nice to have you with us here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a great time.
Dickie, do you want to give us a little background about how the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey started? And we know that this is our third luncheon, as I mentioned, coming up. But can you give us a little background as to how the organization came to be? I know you were the brainchild behind this, but maybe just tell the people how it started.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Actually, it was. I'm going to put the blame on Jeff Eisenberg because he's the guy that really put a bug in my ear. And like you said, this is our third year, obviously, and the whole gist of this thing is to promote the game of hockey, obviously, and to kind of honor those men and women who were responsible to bring the game of hockey to where it's at today. Mm-hmm. And we've got, as you know, 19 very, very passionate people on our board. And it's just been a great ride for me, actually, to be able to work with these people and to bring this to fruition. And like I said, this is our third year. We're inducting 9 this year,
right.
And it's going to be a great day. Always had been, and it's going to be another good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Dick, I know that I've enjoyed being on the board for the past 3 years. When you called me up and told me you were going to put this program together, I said, wow, this is really something. This is great for New Hampshire and great for hockey. Do you want to maybe let the people know who the inductees will be going in this year?
Absolutely, but before I do, I've known Kenny for, I would say, maybe about 35, 40 years.
Don't date me that much.
Yeah, right, we're not strangers. But the 9 inductees this year going in are Willie Bebo of Manchester, the Manchester Blackhawks, George Crow, who was a coach at Dartmouth,
right.
Ron DeBray, another Blackhawk player in Manchester, UB McDonough, Tam O'Shannon player, coach at Memorial High School,
right.
Good friend, Tara Mounsey, nothing needs to be said about Tara Mounsey,
exactly.
Everybody knows her.
Right.
Dick Osborne, well-known radio personality for the in this great sport. Husky Poirier, from Berlin, New Hampshire, and a former teammate of mine. Andrew St. Laurent, Chanou was a goaltender for the Blackhawks in the days of Bebo and Dubray, and actually you played against those guys.
No, they were tough. They were tough.
And Didi Villeneuve, another Berlinite. 9 very well-deserving inductees this year, and we're looking forward to having a great day. Of course, when you get the Monarchs, really behind you, it's not really a cakewalk, but it just these guys make it happen.
Wow.
Jeff has just been a great person to, as you know.
Yeah, he's a key member on our board of directors, and I think I mentioned we're going to use the Concord Budman jerseys. That's what the Monarchs will be wearing this year.
Right.
And after the game, those jerseys will be auctioned off. You recall in our first year we wore the Manchester Blackhawk jerseys,
Correct.
And they were auctioned off. Last year we had the Brill Maroon jerseys.
That's correct.
So this year it's time for the Budman. Well, while we're talking about the Budman, there are 3 members of our board of directors who played for the Budman. We got Pierre Belanger.
That's right.
We got Jimmy Hayes.
True.
And we got Jacques Leclerc.
Wow.
So keeping the hockey circle together with former players and people involved in the sport is why we have a great organization.
It really is, and it's a lot of fun. Like you said, I didn't realize that. Should have known Pierre and Jimmy Hayes and Jack played for those. I'd lost contact with these people for a few years, but like I said, it's been a nice revelation for me. And as far as the luncheon is concerned, it's always a great ceremony. We have Jamie Staten as our master of ceremonies,
right.
And we always have great speakers. And it's in the past, and I've been very, very fortunate to have letters of thank you for some of the inductees, and they always say the same thing. It's great, don't change a thing, just do what you're doing and just keep doing it.
Well, we're very fortunate that in our first 2 years, it was the was it Poultry Products of New England?
That's correct.
Who helped us get started. And now this year, the 5 Anheuser-Busch distributors in the state
That's right.
are helping us out to sponsor us initially to help defray some of our costs.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we're very fortunate to have those people on our side.
Very pleased. Actually, you know, it just goes to prove that, you know, that hockey is so embedded in the state of New Hampshire. As you know, Ken, you've been here for a long time. You played at UNH and you played in Berlin. And I think I might have played against you once. I know I did. And you know, it's a great sport. I remember at one time, and I'm going to talk about Jeff a little bit here. When I first met Jeff, he really, you know, he knew we had a hockey hotbed in New Hampshire. Now he knows.
For sure.
Now he knows, and the proof is there because there aren't that many games at the Verizon that the seats aren't full.
Well, I think that the doesn't go without saying that the Monarchs are the leading draw in the American Hockey League.
Absolutely. And you know, it's a great testimony to the great state of New Hampshire because, as you know, and I've said this before, this sport in this state, gosh, it's been going on for years. 1915, 1920. That's a long time.
Yeah, it
That's
sure
a long
is.
time.
It sure. No, we've seen a great many hockey teams come, a lot of teams go, and I can remember back, I think when I first met you, we had the Granite State Hockey League.
We did.
We started that, I think, in 1962. We had a team from Laconia Lakers. We had Elaine's Jewelry in Rochester. We had the Tam O'Shanners from Manchester. We had the Alpine Club from Manchester. We had the Nashville Royals.
That's right.
And that went on. And then, of course, what happened when they built the JFK in '64, we started to play indoors. And that got to be the center of attention right there.
It sure was.
And from that, of course, the Manchester Blackhawks originated, and then Eastern Olympics came along, then the Budmen. So, you know, it's been a great game.
It's very rich history, a very rich history in the state. You know, and like I said, we're fortunate. We, you know, well, I say with 19 very, very passionate people, we're very fortunate because we have been, and now we're enjoying this because it's kind of like the second time around, and I'm enjoying every second of it. I mean, I got to tell you, this ain't going to happen again, and
well, Dick,
it's just great.
We're very fortunate to have you as our chairperson because you bring the enthusiasm to the table. You've got the hockey background, the hockey knowledge, and you know the people within the state. So you make it easy for us to sit in your board, my friend.
You're very kind. Don't forget there are 19 others out there.
Wow.
It's a great bunch of people.
Somebody has to drive the bus, you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I really do. I was just going to mention a little bit about some of the players, if you want me to go through the.
Sure.
You know, just a little bit of who they are, because some of these people might not know who they are.
I think that's good.
Beginning with and I'm going to go to this list here. UB McDonough. UB's been a hockey personality, the whole hockey family, as you know, and you're going to get the other UB here a little later on. And it's kind of funny because, you know, as you get a little older, like I am, I have a little history with all these people. I did play with UB.
Right, we used to play with the Concord Shamrocks. Bob Tardif, or Tarzy as we call him.
That's right.
Robert brought you down to play with us at White's Park.
Exactly.
And then thereafter, you know, away you went.
Yes, in fact, I came back to Manchester, you know, obviously, and then I got involved with the Alpine Club, and kind of really, it's kind of funny because Bebo was my line mate. Willie Bebo was my line mate.
Willie the Barber.
Yes, and then the year after, Dubray came into the picture, and so did St. Lawrence, so a little bit of history there. I never played with Tara or against her. Dick, I know a little, not a whole lot. George Crow met him. He was on our board at one time. Diddy Villeneuve, well, I'm originally from Berlin, so
that puts that
Diddy
together.
was a great friend, also a teammate of mine when I was playing for the Maroons. And so is in Husky.
Husky
too.
Poria. Yeah. Well, Dick, I tell you what, we're going to have our next guest who will be Hubie McDonough, who's the Director of Hockey Operations for the Blackhawks. But I want to thank you for coming here today.
My pleasure.
Always good to see you, Dick.
Thank you, Kenny.
So I said our next guest will be Hubie McDonough. Hubie, welcome to our program today. Very happy to have you with us.
My pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Hubie is, just for our audience purposes here, you're currently the Director of Hockey Operations for the Manchester Monarchs. Pardon me, the Blackhawks is on my mind after talking with Dickie. But Let me also like to tell the guests here that when you played hockey for St. Anselm's College in town, you were a winner of the superb Hobie Baker Award in 1985, and you're also in our first year of inductees into the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. So you come here on a high pedestal, my friend, and glad to have you with us. I want to ask you a little bit about, Huey, about your maybe your job first with the Monarchs as Director of Hockey Operations. What does this maybe entail, and how does it involve you with the team?
Well, I guess I'm the liaison between Los Angeles and Manchester, and also Manchester and Reading, which is our ECHL affiliate. I handle the player transactions between really mainly Manchester and Reading, as Los Angeles handles all the other transactions, but they call me or Bruce Boudreau, our head coach, to try to get a hold of the players and do that. And along with that, I try to get the players out to appearances with the office. I work with the office staff and trying to get the players to do different things, clinics around the city, school appearances, and they have a Crackerjack, Jeff Eisenberg, who we'll talk to later. He's a Crackerjack staff there,
Right.
getting the players out and being visible. And very important for us in Manchester. So I help with that. And also Bruce is kind enough to let me go on the ice, so I get best of both worlds where I'm in management, but I'm also on the ice and teaching and being out there with the players and doing a little bit of coaching. So,
well, I can remember when you played for St. A's. I was officiating at that time, and you were a great player. I mean, your whole family. I mean, here you are. You win our Hall of Fame the first year. Your brother Kyle won the second year. And now your dad's going the third year. So I mean, that speaks a lot for the McDonough family.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. Very fortunate.
I can remember your mom at the first induction telling us stories about how you guys were shooting pucks to the garage, all kinds of things.
My mom wasn't yelling at you at any of the St. A's games?
Well,
She
I don't
may have
remember
been.
so much of St. A's games, but when your brother Kyle was playing for the University of Vermont, of course,
Right.
Guttison Fieldhouse, you can hear a
Right.
pin drop up there. I never forget your dad. He'd just yell, "Hey, McKinnon, open up your good eye!" And I knew it was him. He just,
Right.
you know. But Kyle brought a lot of excitement to UVM hockey, and the other fellow, Ian Boyce played with him at the time.
Yes.
And those two kids together were just spark plugs. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about you. After you finished at St. A's, Hubie, what did you do? What path did you go? I know you did a little bit of pro hockey there.
Yeah, I was given the opportunity. I actually went to New Haven and tried out for Robbie Fatorik, who I knew through New Hampshire, being up there. He spends the summers up in New
Right.
Hampshire. He gave me an opportunity to try out in New Haven. And there were a lot of players there. The Kings were there and the Rangers were there at the time. So I didn't expect to stay, but it was a good experience. And I actually spent that year in Flint in the International Hockey League, IHL at the time. And then the following season, I was back in New Haven, made the team, spent 2 seasons there. And the second season, I got an opportunity to get called up and played 4 games for the Kings that year. And my 4th season as a pro, I made the Kings out of camp, played 22 games, and was traded to the Islanders right around Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So I spent 3 or 4 years with the Islanders, and then the Sharks. And then I was in San Diego, and a quick stop in the IHL in Los Angeles. The team actually moved to Los Angeles, but I ended up in Orlando for my last 4 years playing in the IHL. So coast to coast.
That's a big career, Huey.
Yeah, I was, as I
career.
said, very fortunate to stay healthy. My family, I dragged around. At the end, it was more than just me moving from city to city. So.
Well, I'll tell you, we're happy that you came back to New Hampshire because you're a key ingredient in the Monarchs organization. Everybody can tell you that. And, we're just glad that you came back to the Granite State.
Well, I always wanted to come back to New Hampshire, whether I was in hockey or not. I grew up here. I'm a New Englander.
Yeah.
Florida was nice, but I was glad to get back here. It's snowing out today, actually. I know it's supposed to be springtime, but I'm enjoying the snow.
You feel more at home with it when you got the white stuff, eh?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if you've said, I know with you talked a little bit about what you do from in your job as far as down to Reading. Do we get involved at all down in that part of the
Only
organization?
in the summertime, really. We kind of set ourselves up, so to speak, for injuries that the Kings may incur, and the same with our team. We signed some players that play in Reading, and I don't know if you know what the injuries have been like for the Kings this year, but we've had the players we signed have been up here all year long from Reading. They really didn't spend much time there at all. So we do that in the summer to try to set ourselves up, and so we don't get caught behind the 8 ball trying to call players up from teams or players we don't know.
Exactly.
So that's really the only. I don't go to Reading. I talk to them on the phone. I know what's going on down there, but I don't see a lot of their games.
Yeah. Well, obviously, with the Monarchs drawing as well as they do, with your going from place to place for little clinics or little publicity shots for the players to get them involved with the community, I mean that's a great thing. That could probably be another reason why we have so many people at the Verizon Center coming to watch you guys.
I think so. I think so. I didn't realize when they were building the Verizon that the hockey base was so strong here that they would end up with 5,000 season tickets and the success we've had. But it's been great, and we hope to continue it.
Well, we would like to thank you so much for coming with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here. And our next guest will also be a Monarch representative by the name of Jeff Eisenberg, who is president of the Monarchs, director of the organization. Jeff, welcome to our program today. Very happy to have you. Of course, you are the key ingredient that makes this all happen with the Manchester Monarchs. Jeff, why don't you give us a little background? I should tell the people, first of all, that, as Dick mentioned, you were kind of the brainstorm behind this child, if you want to say that. But through you allowing us to work with the Monarchs and coming up with our New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, that you've been on the board of directors for 3 years, and I've sat hand in hand with you, and I know what you bring to the table for us. And since I didn't really know your background when you came with us, maybe you could just give the people an idea as to how you landed in our great city of Manchester, and give us a little start.
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, the hockey hotbed of the world, obviously, of course. But so how I ended up with hockey, I just decided to get into sports. I went to grad school at UMass, which was my big move up north, and I was in baseball for a number of years with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers. And then I went to work for the Buffalo Sabres in 1995, and I've been in hockey ever since.
Wow.
Just prior to the Monarchs, I was with the Portland Pirates of the American Hockey League. So since 1998, I've been associated with the American Hockey League. I came here to Manchester in the year 2000 when the Kings bought the Monarchs and hired me to come start it.
Right. Well, it was nice that you were kind of getting on the ground floor at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the first employee here, and it was kind of nice to be able to start from scratch and not have a lot of the baggage or some of the things that come along with a franchise when you move in the middle of it.
Exactly.
So we got to start from scratch, and it's gone real well.
Well, I want to compliment you because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that the Manchester Monarchs are the #1 draw in the American Hockey League, and the facility that we have here, the Verizon Center, is just fantastic. I had no idea when I was driving by during the construction phase it would be as gorgeous as it is inside, and that goes a lot to say. But you've certainly done a fantastic job here, Jeff, since coming here. And to me, I didn't realize that you were a Tennessee boy from the south coming up to the north to deal with our winters and everything else. But you just acclimated awesome.
I love it up here. When I went to grad school, and I fell in love with it. And even when I was in Philly, I used to come skiing to Vermont all the time. And my wife is from Connecticut, so I just love New England. And when I wasn't, I kind of wanted to get back to it when I was in Milwaukee and Buffalo. And to run a hockey team in New Hampshire, there are a lot tougher places to run a hockey team. We talk about the heritage of hockey here and how much people love the game, and
right.
We hope we're doing a nice job. But it's such a beautiful building. The SMG, Tim Beckert, and the group over there do a fantastic job running it. The media is really good to us, and we've got great hockey fans. So it takes everything coming together to make it work.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of pieces of the pie,
Yeah.
but I tell you. You're putting the fluff on the pie, and it's being done very well. Do you want to give us a little idea, or just like we had Hubie talk about his job a little bit? Do you want to tell us some of your chores that you do on a day-to-day basis, or
sure,
some things you're connected with?
I am really in charge of the business operations. All the revenue, and we have 19 full-time employees, not including the hockey staff. And so we all report to Kevin Gilmore, who's the assistant general manager for the Kings, and I am responsible for all the ticket sales and sponsorship sales and all the relationships with the building and the PR and the community relations and all those things, and a lot of interaction with Hubie and the team side as far as working with the players and getting them out in the public and all that kind of thing. But I kind of run all the business side, and I leave the hockey to the people who know hockey, and that's the Kings and Hubie and all those guys.
Well, you certainly wear many hats in the line of your responsibilities. And I know that Dick Boucher, our chairman, I mean, he's obviously delighted that you are what you are and what you bring to the table for us, because without you and our affiliation with the Monarchs, the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey would not be in existence. And as we mentioned to people, we're having the Budman jerseys to be a throwback jersey, and we're pleased that you're able to have your players wear that on our behalf. And I don't know who we're going to select to have our 4th year when we do a throwback jersey game, but it's a big fundraiser for our organization, and the cooperation that we've had, and Dick especially with you and the Monarchs, is just fantastic.
Well, you know, it's an honor to be involved, and like all good partnerships, I feel like we get as much as you do, and it's just I work with a lot of nonprofits and a lot of boards, and I love them all, but there's so much passion involved with this group. It's always been so much fun from you know that,
right? Yeah.
And the meetings, you know, we have to quit talking about hockey to get some business done, and it's just such a pleasure to be involved. So it's nobody has to thank me. I have a lot to. You know, I should be thanking you guys for the opportunity to work with you too.
Well, let's just say we got a good marriage, right?
Yeah, we do. Definitely.
Jeff, I want to thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks, Ken.
Take care. Good luck. Our next guest will be Pierre Belanger, who is also a member of our board of directors, and he was also in the first line of inductees to come into our New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. Pierre, welcome to our program today. It's nice to have you with us. Our guest is Pierre Belanger, who is a 3rd-year board member for our New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. Pierre was one of the first inductees in our first year, and we're happy to have him here as our guest to tell us a little about his position. Pierre currently is a supervisor of off-ice officials for the Monarchs. He was a premier referee in the ECAC hockey world. He also refereed in the World Hockey Association, which is now defunct, unfortunately, but Pierre refereed there, for 4 years, Pete?
Yes, I did 4 years in the World Hockey. I did the original game, the first ever game with the Quebec Nordiques, now the Colorado Avalanche, and the Cleveland Crusaders. There's a name out of the past.
Well, we have a lot of accolades for you, Pierre, and I don't want to dwell on those. We won't have any time to talk among ourselves here, but...
we can take the time, Kenny.
But Pierre, why don't you tell us a little bit maybe about some of your refereeing experiences in the WHA? I know there's been some stories about Harry Neal from the Nordiques throwing a chair at you and a few things like that.
Oh, we've had some pretty good experiences. We had everything from, I did the first game when Gordie Howe came out of retirement with his 2 sons. It was in New York City. We did some, until a couple days ago when they set that new record with the Philadelphia Flyers and the Ottawa Senators. I held the record in the WHA for the most penalty minutes in Phoenix with the Minnesota Fighting Saints. We had 440-something minutes. And in those days, if you fought, you had to fight 3 times before you get a game misconduct. Nowadays, they fight once and they're gone. So we had a lot of fights. Robbie Fatorik was the first one that came off the bench, as a matter of fact, to start the melee. We also had other great nights, going into overtime in the playoffs, and it was a good, fun 4 years. I really enjoyed it, but the travel was extra long. I was on the road for 10, 12 days at a time, and that makes it tough in the family life.
It's a long haul, it sure is. Well, Peter, you also currently you're a teacher in the Manchester school system.
Yes, I teach French at Parkside, and enjoyed it. I was at Southside Junior High for quite a few years, or middle school nowadays. But I'm at Parkside now, and I'm enjoying the students. It's fun. It's an experience. A lot of people complain about the school system, this and that, but it's it's a job. It's a full-time job.
On top of that, Pierre, I know that you are the secretary treasurer for the New Hampshire chapter of NIOA, which is the National Ice Hockey Officials Association. You've been doing that job and assigning referees to games for how many years?
Yes, we just went over that the other day for the national report. And it's 27 years I've been doing the assignments.
Wow.
And this year, we just counted how many games. The season finished the 28th of February, and now they're in the playoffs. And 1,762 assignments.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
to try to coordinate everyone everywhere at the same time, and and people like you, Kenny, who was a good referee. You were able to take some time off from work, but a lot of men cannot, or even I have a young lady now who referees also. So it's tough sometimes to get somebody from Manchester all the way up to Berlin, and somebody from Laconia to go to Nashua, and
Right,
Keene to go to Dover. But it's fun. It's a puzzle.
I was very fortunate at the time working for the insurance company Concord that I had a great boss who gave me a flexible schedule, and I could always take time off to do a game during the week and make the time up later. But you're right, there's a lot of occupations you can't do that, so it's hard to find somebody to fill a spot.
But I like the challenge. I like the try to mix and match and come up with the right combination. In certain games, and officials, we all yell at the officials, but it's like goaltenders. We need them to play the game, or else it's not fun. But a lot of people don't understand. There's certain guys cannot do certain games, and there's certain games that require a certain type of official. But really, the official doesn't really care who's out there. Doesn't care about your, whether your son likes so and so, or whether the mothers don't get along. But we have a good time, and it's a different part of the game. So I was lucky. I did it as a player, I did it as a coach, I did it as an official, and now I'm seeing the ice from a different standard, from the keeping statistics and the shots and the assists and who does what, and it's another part of the game that I like. And being on this board of directors was another great experience that I love. And as Jeff said earlier, when we have meetings, it's just like old times 3 or 4 times a year.
Right. Well, Pierre, you certainly bring a lot of color to our board. You always seem to come up with a story here, a story there that you've lived in the past, and I know you told us a story one time about the Johnstown Jets and how they had tired or chained up the tires in the bus so you couldn't get out of town. And
I played for the Johnstown Jets after college, and that's where the movie Slapshot came from. And my name's on the wall in the building down there. And that's, but yes, we're leaving New Haven, and the fans did not like us, and some fans had put a chain on the bus to the guardrail. We had to wait for some welders to come over and cut the chain. So it's just, again, different experiences, all great.
Well, I just wish we had more time to let our audience know about some of the elements and events and happenings that Pierre has experienced, because I know I did a few college games with you in the ECAC, and there were always some good stories either to the game or from the game. But Pete, thanks so much for coming with us today. We're honored to have you, and you're still playing hockey, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Captain.
You're welcome. Now, it's just to kind of wrap up for you folks to remind you that the induction luncheon, this will be our third one, will be held at the Wayfair Inn on Saturday, March 20th at 2 p.m. You can see on the screen where you can pick up your tickets, and also the benefit game that we're throwing the Budman jerseys back. That will be that evening at 7:35 at the Verizon Center, and the Providence Bruins will be taking on the Manchester Monarchs. So I thank you for having us on your show today. I hope you got a lot out of it, and keep your head up.